I have been working on a lot of conspiracy law updates, and I can't really do this justice in one video. And I have a link underneath this video that you all can click on to just learn what these latest laws are and where you can read them. The first law that I wrote is regarding the integrity of government officials such as presidents, prime ministers, uh, governors, senators, judges, representatives, jurors. The Jesuits love to infect our leaders with Jesuit malware or replace them with Jesuit clones, and I set up a system so that we can detect when this happens. Okay, that was the first law that I did updates to this month. The second law for this month regarding states that secede from the Union in order to defy conspiracy law. We've had a real problem with a lot of states trying to break away from the United States once I became Empress. They think I'm, the governor usually is either under brain control or is a Jesuit and lies to his people and gets them all riled up, and they want to defect from the Union. And I've set up some laws on how to deal with this. That's the second updates that I did this month. The third law is regard to the most terrorist wanted list. The Jesuits were being outrageous, and they were claiming that my men were criminal trolls who needed to be arrested, and that their clones were the authentic person. And this is just outrageous. So I said, all law enforcement out there, I want you to rip up every list you have of wanted or persons of interest, and that you need to follow my guidelines on who's a criminal and who isn't a criminal, okay? And that would be the third law that I worked on this month. The fourth law that I worked on this month, it's just been really outrageous how the clones are impersonating like my men, and doing it in a manner where they're putting the real guys, like the real Brent Spiner, the real Matthews, lives in danger. And then what's really bad is Jesuit websites, Jesuit media presence, the Jesuit internet is backing them up and, printing all these lying articles, putting photoshopped pictures up there. And it was just getting so out of hand and making it extremely dangerous for me and my men that I had to write some laws to deal with that. So that's law number 4. Law number 5, use of Jesuit scanners mandatory for all arrests. Another problem we had was law enforcement was actually getting their information on who's guilty and who's innocent off the internet. The internet is highly unreliable because Zach Knight has his clone versions out there. So I said, law enforcement, you are to divorce yourself from the internet and only use Jesuit scanners we give them, to determine who's innocent and who's guilty. You need to scan each person before you arrest them to make sure you got the right one, that you're not getting somebody who's innocent rather than with clones. It's very confusing. So they have to have a scanner so they know who's a clone and who isn't. Okay, law number 6. Zach Knight's clone versions of the internet has caused so many people to be robbed. And so I decided to set up a system called the Transport Net, which is an open system. And the way it works is the person gets on their computer. We take a screenshot of what's on their computer, send signals of that up to a satellite receiver. Satellite receiver processes that and then sends these signals to whoever they're sending the information to. So you got computer to satellite, satellite to computer. But the computer to satellite relies on signals that travel through the air. And then satellite to computer uses transporter technology to send the images and everything down to the receiving computer. So it's an open system. It's not using closed cable lines everywhere. And because it's open, Zach can't clone it unless he takes over the whole system. And that's the Transport Net. So I wrote laws regarding that. Okay, the 7th law that I wrote this month, once we set up the Transport Net, and we're not done, we're still working on it. It's a major job because it involves every computer on the planet. We discovered that Zach Knight has stolen literally like trillions of dollars from companies, myself, and everybody was demanding, we want to be paid all that money that was stolen. It's by Zach Knight. And we're not sure Zach Knight still has that money. He spent it all on all his military. So I had to set up laws how these victims are going to be paid back. Okay, the next law, the 8th law, I said all ambulance workers need to belong to the National Health Care Plan. We've had instances where people took an ambulance, the ambulance accidentally brought them to the wrong hospital, maybe somebody that was not in their network, and they got charged outrageous charges. So I said that the way to solve that, all ambulance workers have to belong to the National Health Care Plan. Okay. Law number 9, all websites and servers, how I described how they work in the TransportNet system. I just explained it to you. We're trying to destroy all the ground servers and cause all websites to be hosted from satellite receivers. And that means there will be no closed cable lines through the whole system. So Zach needs a closed system to clone. And I just explained how all that works. That was law number 9. Laws 10 and 11. I just explained, reinforced to the law enforcement they need to have Jesuit scanners on all of their vehicles and on all their persons at all times. And that these scanners are also designed to be weapons and they can execute Jesuits when they scan them. This is important because Jesuits are dangerous. So I also set up the citizen scanner, which is like a Jesuit scanner we give to citizens, which they can use for self-defense, so that if they're attacked by a Jesuit, they can just zap that right on the Jesuit. It'll take them right out. And it will also get them arrested too, you know, and it will put records into law enforcement databases and all this. So, and also all the men on my marriage list will get 24/7 law enforcement protection using Jesuit scanners, which will be set up like in the walls and everything for everywhere they go. And those people who use the citizen scanners which causes the arrest or execution of over 1,000 Jesuits will get a bonus too. Okay, law number 12. I insist our websites need to be encrypted because we want to make it so Zach can't copy them. So I wrote laws about how our websites on the TransportNet need to be encrypted. The 13th law this month, I wrote, I created a Jesuit scanner satellite which scans the earth below, and it's programmed to kill all dangerous Jesuits from space using signals. And the dangerous Jesuits are the ones who'd be willing to kill for the Jesuits, and I'm sad to say that's most of the Jesuits. Okay. Law number 14. We found the Jesuits were encrypting some of the computers on the ground and not allowing us access to them. So those companies, everybody in there is going to be arrested. We need to have access to all the computers in order to get rid of the internet and replace it with the TransportNet. And usually those Jesuits behind this are going to be arrested. We're not going to put up with that. And the Jesuits are, if we can't get past the encryption, we'll just destroy the computer and get what we can and destroy the computer so the Jesuits won't have that computer in their arsenal. Law number 15, we determined that, ZachNet uses a deflector array and a quadrature phase shift keyer. The deflector array powers, he's got 1,000 versions of the internet. So he's got to boost extra power into his system to do that. So we've made the deflector array illegal. And without that, he can't maintain his cloned versions of the internet. We're just going to destroy all the deflector arrays out there. And he needs a quadrature phase shift keyer to regulate all the cloned versions. We've made that illegal too. So that's law number 15. That way, he needs those 2 items to do the cloned versions of the internet, and we're going to deprive him of those. We're still working on it. It's a massive job. Okay, law number 16. We discovered an evil Barack Obama clone murdered all the members of our Leadership Integrity Corps. Leadership Integrity Corps determines whether, a president's been switched out with their Jesuit clone. Ensure the integrity of our leaders if they're not Jesuits. Well, this Barack Obama clone killed all the members of the Leadership Integrity Corps so that we couldn't tell that that Barack Obama had been switched out. So now I've made it that it's got to be programmed that every important person like Barack Obama has got to be connected to a computer program that will immediately detect when they've been taken out. That's law number 16. Law number 17. Okay, once we set up the Jesuit scanners, the Jesuits escaped into outer space. So we needed to put shields over the Earth to protect us from their space fleet in case they wanted to attack us from outside. So I set up an Earth shield that also kills Jesuits. But the good news is once I set up the Earth shield, this was on the 18th, Vladimir Putin went out and nuked the whole Jesuit fleet because he felt protected with that Earth shield, and that explains that strange burst of light that they saw in Russia in the Urals. I think it was, they said it was the 14th, it was actually the 18th. Okay, law number 18. No conspiracy law honoring nation is allowed to impose any type of sanctions on another conspiracy law honoring nation. So I said all those sanctions the U.S. has imposed on Russia, null and void. Barack Obama doesn't have the right to do that. Russia and the U.S. are both conspiracy law honoring nations. They will not impose sanctions on each other. Law number 19. Our nanotechnology research team will experiment and come up with ways to use our signals, which are saturated with the Bible, to destroy the Jesuit signals, which have UFO hallmarks on them. And we're coming up with a way to use we send our signals into outer space, and they kind of like search for UFO signals. And then when we see them, we try to infuse the Bible into those signals and just really mess up the Jesuits' network. Okay, law number 20. In case something happens to me, I've written laws on how to find a suitable replacement for me, qualifications and all that. Law number 21. Some individuals like who set up homes for the homeless or shelters or food banks are being unfairly harassed by their local governments, and I'm just going to make it hard for the local governments to do that, and I've set up some laws for that. So those are the most recent laws, and I've been really busy this month. And that's a really quick overview. Okay, if you go underneath this video, okay, and just click on the link, you'll get more detailed information. And a lot's been happening this month. And a lot of the stuff that's been happening this month, I have talked about in the link that's underneath this video, which lists all the updates. If you go read the laws themselves, when you check the link underneath this video and click on it, it's going to list out all the laws I worked on this month, which is 21 so far. I'm sure it's going to be more than that by the time this month is over. And when you go in there and read all of the updates, you can see what I have done, and you go and actually read the laws. I actually have live links that you can click on. Will take you right to the laws. I tell you which sections you go to. If you actually read my laws, you can keep up with some of the latest news of what's happened this month, which is not being reported on the mainstream news. So I've been a busy lady, really busy, and I have more laws to write, but I want the world, to know what's going on, because a lot has been happening. I haven't heard from my men since August 25th, but it appears our brain-to-brain communication has improved. Good news is, when I checked Brent Spiner's Twitter today, it looks like the real Brent Spiner is back at Twitter. Now, let's hope it lasts. I hear that we don't completely have the internet up on transformed into the transport net yet, but we're making progress. Okay, so just go read my laws and you'll get all the news that's not being reported on any news station except the Gabriel Chana Fox News Channel.